the year I graduated. The national movement to send educated youth to the countryside was in full swing. To help her best friend's younger brother stay in the city, my fiancée sent me away to the countryside for 7 years. When I returned, she actually proposed to me in front of everyone. The crowd erupted into cheers. They all assumed I would surely say yes. After all, I was the one who had boldly confessed to Amanda and pursued her relentlessly, winning over the coldest, most elegant goddess of the university. But they all seemed to forget that back then, Amanda had chosen another man. She let him take the city job that was meant for me and made me go to the countryside in his place. She even slandered my parents' morals to threaten me. In the end, she forced me to leave for the countryside and stay there for 7 years. Now that I'm back, her best friend told me, after you went to the countryside, Miss Mu used all her connections to make sure you lived a bit more comfortably. She never got married all these years. She's been waiting for you the whole time. Chapter 1. As I listened to Ava sitting beside me ramble on and on, I couldn't help but frown. She kept telling me how much Amanda had done for me. Seeing my indifferent expression and lack of reaction, she grew anxious. Can't you at least say something? Amanda did all this for you. Don't you feel even a little moved? Her shrill tone drew the attention of our classmates. Their eyes turned toward me, some curious, some disdainful. It had been 7 years since I last heard Amanda's name. To me, that name felt almost foreign now, as if it belonged to a different lifetime. Even the passion I once had for her had nearly been washed away by time. 7 years ago, I boarded the train to the countryside alone, carrying only my luggage. So aside from my family, almost no one knew I had ever been engaged. That's why I couldn't tell if what Ava said about Amanda came from her own desire to inform me or if someone had asked her to say it. Maybe it was on purpose, to let me know what Amanda had supposedly done for me all these years. That thought made me frown again. Whatever happened between Amanda and me was just childishness back then. Let's not bring it up anymore. I waved my hand, showing not even a trace of nostalgia. Everyone around me stared in shock. Even the noisy class reunion fell silent, that you could hear a pin drop. Amanda and I were childhood friends. At some point, my feelings for her changed from friendship to something deeper, something possessive. As the only boy in the family, I grew up pampered, full of confidence and pride. Back then, I believed that as long as I had the courage to chase what I wanted, I could always get it. So I pursued Amanda passionately. I invited her to dinner, asked her out to the movies. When her mother fell ill, I even begged my parents to use their connections to find the best doctor for her surgery. While she cared for her mother, I made sure she had 3 meals a day. Whenever another boy showed interest in her, I'd step in and make it clear, this flower was already taken. Even when she dreamed of becoming a teacher, it was my father who helped her get a smoother path into the school system. After all my efforts, I won her over. The once cold and distant Miss Moore began to gently remind me to dress warmly, care for me when I was sick or upset, and comfort me when I needed it. She tolerated my little moods and occasionally acted cute with me. When people called me shameless or a simp, she'd stand in front of me and defend me with unwavering loyalty. She would take the initiative to invite me to cultural performances during vacations and proudly introduce me to her friends. I once thought we'd keep walking hand in hand like that forever. Until 3 months before another round of countryside assignments, Daniel suddenly reappeared. He was a boy Amanda had known in middle school, a beam of light in her heart. But I trusted Amanda too much to suspect anything unusual between them. In fact, I even treated Daniel like a brother just because he was connected to her. But afterward, Amanda stopped having time for me. Even during vacations, she didn't try to meet up anymore. Sometimes when I made the effort to find her, she'd brush me off, saying she was too busy. On our 2-year anniversary, she once again claimed she had school duties and couldn't be with me. But something felt off. Just a few days earlier, she told me she didn't have classes that day. There was no way the school would suddenly assign her work, especially not when they go out of their way to show respect to my father. Suspicious, I quietly went to the school to find her, only to be told she was on leave and not on campus. A colleague of hers said she had gone to the department store. Without a second thought, I rushed straight there only to see Amanda and Daniel walking side by side through the mall. Their hands were full of shopping bags. They were laughing and chatting, looking every bit like a couple madly in love. Next to them stood Amanda's younger sister, Sophie, her face glowing with excitement. She looked at Daniel and said, "Daniel, I really think you and my sister are a perfect match. How about I just call you brother.in.law?" She giggled as she looked up at Daniel, who responded with a joyful smile. Amanda glanced at her sister and said, "Don't talk nonsense." But her tone wasn't one of scolding. It was a mix of helplessness and affection. From the slight upward curve of her lips, it was obvious she didn't mind what Sophie said. On the contrary, her expression betrayed her true thoughts. A sour ache filled my chest, as if even breathing had become a blade slicing through me. Maybe it was because my stare was too intense that she suddenly turned and spotted me standing not far away. My eyes were clearly red, my expression full of hurt and anger. But she didn't show the slightest intention of comforting me, nor did she seem guilty or ashamed. Instead, she looked annoyed. "What are you doing here?" she asked. That sentence completely ignited the fury inside me. As a man with dignity, how could I swallow that kind of humiliation? I strode right up to Amanda. "This is the urgent school matter you said you couldn't get away from?" I asked, sarcasm dripping from my tone. My attitude clearly irritated her more. She snapped, "Comrade Daniel is a new records administrator. The principal asked me to look after him because we were classmates. I'm here today for official reasons. Can you please get your facts straight before you start interrogating me?" I looked at Amanda in disbelief. She had always been aloof, but never once did she speak harshly to me, let alone scold me in front of others like this. Realizing her words might have gone too far, Amanda glanced at me nervously and quickly grabbed my hand to apologize. "Michael, I'm sorry. I spoke too harshly. That's not what I meant." I pulled my hand away, took a deep breath, and tried to calm the fury raging inside me. "Then what did you mean? If you were busy today, you could have just told me." There was no need to lie. I was still angry, but Amanda reached out again and held my hand tightly in her soft fingers. "I didn't lie to you. I really did come here on a last-minute request from the principal. And also, I wanted to pick out a gift for you since I haven't had much time for you lately." Her words sent a wave of warmth through me again. It felt like I mattered to her. But then I remembered what Sophie had said earlier, and the bitterness returned. Then why did Sophie call him brother.in.law? I turned my gaze to Sophie, who just moments ago had clung to Daniel with admiration and hope. Now her expression had turned sour, as if I'd stolen something precious from her. She looked at me with thinly veiled contempt. Amanda's eyes followed mine to Sophie, and she sighed helplessly. "That little brat just says whatever comes to her mind. Of course she knows who her real brother.in.law is. Once I'm done with things here, I'll go home and cook something nice for you, okay?" She was a great cook, just rarely had the time. She was always so busy. At that moment, the anger in my chest was nearly worn away by her soft tone and gentle words. I was just about to nod and forgive her when Daniel jogged over to me in 3 quick strides. "Michael, I'm really sorry," he said. "I just started working at the school. The principal was worried I wouldn't adapt well, so he asked Amanda to help me buy a few things. If it really bothers you, I can ask the principal to assign someone else." As he spoke, he lowered his head, his eyes turning red, and even wiped the corners of his eyes. Immediately, Sophie, who had been standing quietly nearby, exploded. "Why do you like bullying people so much? It was bad enough when you bullied my sister, now you're picking on Daniel too. What kind of terrible man are you?" She blurted it out, pointing at me and scolding me in front of everyone. I was stunned. After all, I had always tried to be kind to her because I loved Amanda. I extended that affection to Sophie, doing my best to give her whatever she wanted. I never expected that deep down. This was how she saw me. Amanda then let go of my hand and walked over to Daniel. She comforted him softly and even reached out to ruffle his hair. In just a few gentle words, she soothed the weeping Daniel with ease. Watching this scene, my heart filled with bitterness and sorrow. That night, Amanda did indeed buy groceries and cook me a nice meal, but I couldn't enjoy it at all. Instead, I felt suffocated and miserable because even though she was physically by my side, serving me food, her words kept circling back to Daniel. Daniel was my classmate in middle school. He helped me a lot with my studies. Back then, I had to take care of my sister, go to school, and look after my mother at home. He supported me through all of it, so I just want to repay him a little. You know my heart belongs to you." She held my hand and looked at me sincerely as she made this promise. Facing those earnest eyes, my anger slowly melted away. Thinking of all we'd been through, I could only sigh and nod. I decided to let it go. Then Amanda brought out a small box. Inside was a merit medal. I made a breakthrough in my research. The school applied for this award for me, and I want to use it as a symbol of our love. Today marks our 2-year anniversary. I hope there will be many more to come, and that we'll have a long, beautiful future together. As she spoke, she pushed the medal toward me. My heart warmed. Her words touched me. I finally accepted the medal and said, "Mm." Then I pulled her into my arms and kissed her forehead. The unease and resentment inside me slowly faded with her tenderness. But I never expected that this moment of warmth would be so fleeting. From that day on, she began spending even more time with Daniel. Commuting together was one thing, but now she even took him to the department store on weekends. They moved closely, acted intimately. It was as if they were the real couple. Soon, rumors began spreading in our community compound that Amanda and I had broken up, that she had dumped me. Before I could even trace the origin of those rumors, Daniel came knocking on my door. He held a plate of dumplings in his hands and wore a gentle smile. "I came to bring you these dumplings. Sophie and I made them for Amanda today." I took the plate and was about to send him away, but he pushed his way into my home. The smile vanished from his face, replaced by a sneer and obvious disgust. "I know Amanda only got with you because you kept pestering her," he said. "I'll admit you were bold, but honestly, you're kind of pathetic. You can tell, right? Amanda's into me, not you. If you were smart, you'd walk away on your own." Looking at his arrogant face, I really wanted to punch him, but I knew I couldn't. If I laid a hand on him, things would get messy. Seeing that I didn't respond, he got even cockier and leaned in closer. "Fine, then let me show you who Amanda's heart really belongs to." I told Amanda exactly what had happened, word for word, but she refused to believe me. In fact, she accused me of slandering Daniel. "I know you don't like Daniel, but that doesn't mean you get to say things like that about him. He's always been a gentle and respectful guy." Her voice was laced with anger. Before I could even defend myself, she continued, "I always thought you had a bit of a temper, but at least you had good character. I didn't expect you to stoop this low. I'm so disappointed in you." Her words were like a thorn stabbing deep into my chest. I couldn't believe these things were coming from the mouth of the woman I loved, my fiancée. Chapter 2. I watched her walk away so decisively, and all I felt inside was a wave of cold. "You're saying my character is lacking? That I disappointed you?" Maybe she didn't know how to respond right away. After a brief silence, she finally said, "I'll talk to the principal. From now on, I won't have any more contact with Daniel. I'm also going to be very busy with my research lately, so we probably won't be able to see each other for a while. You should take this time to reflect on what you did wrong." After saying that, she turned and walked off. It made me start to question, should I really be with this person? After all this time and all the sincerity I gave, what did I actually get in return? I was furious, so I stopped talking to her. Silent treatment. And sure enough, she was busy. At least she never showed up in front of me again. Even when I ran into her at the department store a month later, she pretended not to see me at all, like I was a complete stranger. I used to think one of us would eventually give in first, but instead of an apology, what I got was the official notice. I was being sent to the countryside. I had grown up as the treasured only son in my family. I had just graduated, and my parents had already pulled strings to line up a job for me. But when the list of those assigned to rural development came out, my name was on it. I couldn't believe it, so I went straight to Amanda. She was in charge of registering names for the countryside assignment. There was no way she didn't know about this. At the time, she was chatting and laughing with Daniel. They looked just like a couple. Standing nearby were a few others I recognized as Amanda's friends, including Ava. The moment I walked in, all the laughter and joy in the room vanished. The atmosphere froze as if none of it had ever happened. "Amanda, I need an explanation." I stared at her, calm on the surface, but my eyes carried deep disappointment. She looked at me, frowning slightly, then let out a sigh. "I knew you'd come to me about this. Every family is expected to actively support the rural assignment program. That's not news to you, is it?" "Of course I knew," I nodded. "Then you knew I was on the list, right? Why is my name there, but not his?" I had seen the assignment list earlier. Daniel's name had been on it, not mine. But now his name had been crossed off, and mine was there instead. Amanda pressed her lips together. Before she could speak, Daniel stepped forward. "Michael, I already have a job. Obviously, I don't need to go to the countryside anymore. You shouldn't be suspecting Amanda like this." You're her fiancé, saying things like that will hurt her. His words stabbed into me like a knife. I looked straight at Amanda, lips trembling, eyes locked on hers. So is that how it is? She glanced at me, and there was something complicated in that look, hesitation, inner conflict, and a faint glimmer of resolve. Your family is well off. You have your parents and sister to take care of you. But Daniel, he only has himself. Hearing that, I couldn't help but laugh. This was the girl I had grown up with, the woman I'd loved and cared for over a decade. If I could, I'd rather have never met her, never loved her. Shaking my head, I took 2 steps back. The disappointment in my eyes seemed to burn her. She reached out as if to grab my hand, but Daniel was faster. He stared at me with smug eyes, a flicker of triumph flashing across his face, but it only lasted a second before Daniel reverted to his pitiful tone. Michael, if you slander her like this, the school might think Amanda has questionable morals. Do you really want to ruin her future? I was just about to speak, but he interrupted again, still acting wronged. I know you want my position. Your father already came to warn me, told me to get lost and stay away from Amanda. I'll listen, okay? As he said that, he even wiped a tear from the corner of his eye. Amanda suddenly looked like something inside her snapped. What did you say? A warning? Ava quickly nodded. I did see an assistant from Commander Black's office come talk to Daniel. With her confirmation, Amanda's expression turned extremely unpleasant. Michael, I can't believe you've become this kind of person. Daniel has no one. He's an orphan. I only looked after him out of old friendship, but I never imagined you'd be so jealous, using power to suppress others. I used to think you were just a little proud, but now I see you're hopeless, rotten to the core. Her words were vicious. For the first time, I couldn't stop the tears from rolling down my face. I quickly wiped them away with my sleeve, then looked up at her. In your heart, is that really what you think of me? Of my family? You didn't even bother to find out the truth before you threw accusations like that. I stared at Amanda. She met my gaze with anger. They have no reason to lie to me. The moment she said that, I felt a stabbing pain in my chest. Ava and the others started whispering among themselves, their eyes filled with even more contempt and disgust as they looked at me. If you don't want to go to the countryside, I have evidence that Commander Black abused his power to get you out of it, Amanda snapped. The moment those words left her mouth, I knew there was no longer any future between us. To protect Daniel, she was willing to hurt my family. I left her with one word, I'll go, and I resolutely boarded the train to the countryside. Before I left, I asked my sister to return the medal Amanda had given me. That was the end of our 20-something years of history together. Coming back to the present, I looked at Ava in front of me. Sorry, everything's in the past now. We should look ahead. Seeing that I was about to leave, Ava quickly called out, Michael, I know you're angry, but don't you think Amanda deserves a chance to explain? I frowned. What's there to explain about the past? Besides, I'm married now. In that instant, the entire room fell silent. Everyone stared at me. Even Ava looked at me in disbelief. What did you say? You're married? How could you be married? You were so in love with Amanda. After she spoke, others joined in, clearly not believing me. Michael married? No way. He used to chase after Amanda like a dog. Exactly. A guy that desperate and clingy, who would like him? He was meant to marry Amanda, not ruin someone else's life. And someone who was that obsessed, how could he just stop loving her like flipping a switch? I don't believe it. He's clearly just being stubborn, pretending he's married. One bitter and malicious comment after another, but I acted like I hadn't heard a thing. I just looked calmly at Ava. Do you also think I'm lying? She froze for a second, wanting to say something, but in the end, she just shook her head. To be honest, I probably shouldn't be getting involved in this, but I just feel like Amanda gave so much for you. The least you could do is see her. No matter how it ends between you two, you should at least have a proper conversation. Her voice softened as she spoke, but I could see the disbelief in her eyes. After all, I had once chased after Amanda with everything I had, willing to give her my entire world, even a man's most basic dignity and pride. Yet even a love that fervent was ultimately extinguished. As of now, I was already married. Whether they believed me or not, I knew that even if I explained, they wouldn't trust me. People only see what they choose to believe. I remembered I'd promised my daughter I'd be home early to celebrate her birthday, so I had no interest in staying longer. I stood up, ready to leave, but Ava blocked my way. You're already here, can't you wait just a little longer? Amanda is on her way. Just as I was about to speak, the door to the private room opened, and Amanda walked in, slightly out of breath. She wore a formal professional outfit, with gold-rimmed glasses perched on her nose. Behind the lenses, her already cold eyes seemed more distant and alluring, exuding a refined indifference that made people feel they could only admire her from afar. But the moment her eyes landed on me, all that coldness vanished, replaced by a wave of tenderness. She quickly approached, forcing a stiff, awkward smile onto her face, a dry, uncertain smile. "Michael, it's been a long time." A faint blush crept onto her cheeks, and her gaze held a quiet hope. I nodded politely. "Amanda, long time indeed, but not in a good way." Her smile froze. A flicker of sadness crossed her eyes, and her whole demeanor turned melancholy. "Michael, are you still mad at me? Why are you treating me like a stranger? That's not how it's supposed to be between us, is it? It really hurts me when you act like this." She looked so wounded. In the past, whenever she showed me that face, no matter how angry I was, I'd always end up comforting her. Now she was trying that trick again, but I was no longer the same person. I looked at her calmly. "Miss Moore, we haven't seen each other in 7 years. Frankly, this distance is how it should be. What happened back then? I couldn't forgive it then, and I definitely won't now." After saying that, I picked up my things and turned to leave. It was getting late. I needed to go home to Ollie. She was waiting for me to celebrate her birthday. I stepped past Amanda and headed for the door, but she suddenly grabbed my wrist. Then she dropped to one knee and pulled out a box. Inside were a Medal of Honor and a ring, the same medal she'd once given me, symbolizing our engagement, which I'd returned long ago. Heartbroken as I was when I left, I was caught off guard for a moment as I saw her take the ring and try to slip it onto my finger. "Let's get married, Michael." Her voice was full of affection, almost desperate, as if without that ring, I'd fly away and disappear forever. "Amanda, I think you're confusing me with someone else. I'm not Daniel." At that, her urgent expression strangely shifted to subtle smugness. She gripped my hand tighter. "Michael, are you jealous? I admit the countryside assignment was unfair, but I did it for you and your family. Daniel said if he didn't have to go, he wouldn't report your parents. I knew how much they care about you, and how much you care about them, right?" Seeing she still wanted to explain, I pulled my hand away. "First of all, I never did anything to Daniel that warrants guilt. I don't need you making choices for me. Second, if my parents really did something wrong, let Daniel report them, that he can't convict them with empty words. Lastly, let's stop talking about the past. There's no future between us. None. Because I'm already married, and my daughter is 4 years old. Please, Miss Moore, stop saying things that could cause misunderstandings. I don't want my wife to get jealous or upset." My words drained the color from Amanda's face. She grabbed my arm in a panic, shaking me. "What did you say? You're married? You have a 4-year-old daughter? Michael, you're just saying that to upset me, right? You're mad that you're trying to get back at me. Didn't you say before that you only ever wanted to marry me? How could you have married someone else?" She leaned in closer, her eyes full of desperate hope, as if begging me to deny it all. But as I looked back, I was completely calm. On her face, once untouchable and composed, there was now panic, unease, even a trace of regret. I'd seen that expression only once before, when her mother was in the hospital. I never thought I'd see it again. "Michael, why didn't you wait for me?" Her voice held accusation and denial. "I was trying so hard to find a way back to you." She spoke as if I'd betrayed her, as if I'd crushed her great love. "Wait for you?" I asked. "Amanda, did you forget how long I already waited for you back then?" Amanda froze, as if a buried memory had resurfaced. Her lips parted, and it took a long time before she finally spoke. "Daniel and I were never more than friends." She desperately tried to explain, but I gently pushed her hands away and stepped back. My gaze was steady. "Amanda, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. How many times did you argue with me because of him? How many times did you ignore me completely? You lied about being busy so you could go shopping with him. Is that love? If you truly loved me, I should have come first, not always been the one left waiting." My words made Amanda stagger back, bracing herself against a chair to keep from falling. She'd been the university's goddess, renowned for her intellect and achievements. When had anyone seen the proud Amanda in such a state? From our conversation, the people around us started recalling the past. Wait, didn't Amanda break off the engagement with Michael and get together with Daniel? Yeah, And didn't she put Michael's name on the countryside list herself? Why is she acting like she's madly in love with him now? If you love someone, you should protect them. Some people only realize what they've lost after it's gone. But no one waits forever. Those comments echoed exactly how I used to feel, but now they didn't stir me. I simply looked at the pale, stricken Amanda and said, Miss Moore, some things are better left unsaid. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. My daughter is waiting for me to celebrate her birthday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. With that, I turned and walked to the door. Amanda rushed to block me, but when she met my cold gaze, she instinctively stepped aside. I didn't look back, walking straight out the front entrance. Still, Amanda wouldn't give up. She followed me, but I ignored her, walking to the front gate. Just as I stepped outside, a tiny figure sprinted toward me, leaping to hug my legs. Daddy. Chapter 3. Her voice was crisp and tender, full of pure joy. I gently took her little hand and squatted down, wrapping her in a hug. Ollie, did you miss Daddy? I teased softly as she curled into my arms. Then a graceful silhouette approached. Lillian's beautiful face lit up with affection the moment she saw me. Honey. Her figure was perfectly curvy, even more alluring after our child. She carried herself with elegance and sensuality, yet around others, she wore a distant coldness, a warning to stay back. But now she smiled warmly, reaching out her hand. I took it, and she nestled into my arms. Tired? Her soft voice pulled me from the day's tension. Even after 5 years of marriage, her beauty still took my breath away. I shook my head. Not tired. Our spark still burned as fiercely as when we were newlyweds. Daddy, you can't forget about me just because you saw Mommy. The little one in my arms protested in a babbling, slightly aggrieved voice. Today is Ollie's birthday. Daddy has to love me more today. Yes, that it's Ollie's birthday, I cooed, gently rocking her. So Daddy will love Ollie extra today. Let's put Mommy on pause for a bit, okay? But someone clearly wasn't amused. No way. I should always be first in your heart. Lillian's eyes locked with mine, overflowing with a depth of love that pulled me in. Mommy is bad. She's stealing Daddy from Ollie. Ollie squirmed in my arms, pouting. Lillian chuckled, squeezing my hand. Are you cold? Ollie didn't see you at home and insisted on coming to find you, so I brought her. The restaurant is booked. I thought it'd be time to pick you up. I smiled. Perfect timing. Lillian linked her arm through mine, ready to walk, but 2 steps later, a shaky, unwilling voice called out from behind. Michael. Amanda looked frail, her eyes heavy with sadness as she stared at us. Lillian and I turned together. I frowned slightly. What is it, Miss Moore? Is there something else? Her gaze landed on our interlocked hands. She opened her mouth, then shook her head in defeat, her body swaying as if she might collapse. Ollie, still on my shoulder, glanced curiously at Amanda. Daddy, is that lady sick? She looks like she's going to fall down. She blinked innocently. I gently pinched her cheek, unsure how to respond. Lillian smiled at Ollie. Ollie, it's your birthday, don't you want cake? Ollie, ever the child, brightened instantly. Yes, let's go right now. She bounced in my arms, eager to leave. Michael, Amanda's voice came again, laced with desperation. Her complexion was pale, grief swirling in her eyes. Impatience flickered in my chest, but before I could speak, Lillian stepped forward. You must be Miss Moore. As a teacher, shouldn't you set a better example? Calling out to my husband repeatedly, do you have something urgent? Her tone was calm, but firm. My daughter is too young for your school, but even so? Amanda's eyes flared with anger and jealousy. So you're Michael's wife? Do you know that he once chased another woman and almost married her? Lillian's face didn't waver, but I knew she was furious beneath the surface. I let go of Lillian's hand and put my arm around her shoulders. Miss Moore, as you said, almost. What was almost is now irrelevant. Besides, everyone makes mistakes in youth. That mistaking a toxic person for someone precious isn't unheard of. But don't claim that title like a badge of honor. Actually, I should thank you. If not for you, I wouldn't have gone to the countryside, wouldn't have met my wife. Because of you, I have a happy marriage and a woman who sees me as her world. So I advise you, don't try to mess with what I have. Nothing. No one can come between us. I could forgive her past actions, but I'd never allow her to interfere with my family. For the people I love, I'd fight. Amanda stared at me in disbelief. Toxic? Is that how you see me? Yes. And if I could, I'd rather we had no connection at all. I tugged Lillian's arm, and she understood. Linking arms, we walked confidently toward the car. She turned to me, voice soft. Were all those words true? Of course. What happened with Amanda is ancient history. The only people I love are you and Ollie. We celebrated Ollie's birthday surrounded by joy, as if Amanda's drama had never happened. I thought I'd seen the last of her, but to my surprise, she was waiting at my parents' gate when I returned. She looked more worn than ever, the arrogance gone, replaced by defeated weariness. Impatience surged again. Amanda, what do you want now? After our last encounter, Lillian had been clingy, torturing me half the night, that now every sight of Amanda felt like a plague. Michael, please just let me talk properly. Her voice trembled. There's nothing to talk about. I shook my head, but she persisted. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted you for Daniel. Shouldn't have sent you to the countryside in his place. I cut her off. The past is past. We need to look forward, not dwell on it. My disgust was plain. She saw it, realized I truly didn't care, and panic spread. Michael, I'm sorry. Back then, I was just angry. Daniel was my classmate. He was alone, well, behaved, smart. I leaned on him instinctively. I know it was my fault. I laughed coldly. He was your classmate, smart, moral, but what about me? I grew up with you, treated you well. Maybe I was spoiled, stubborn, but I never acted dishonorably. Why did his word matter more than mine? The truth is, by then, your heart had already tilted toward him. You chose to believe him, not me. No, I only saw him as a classmate. I've waited for you 7 years, hoped we could be together. Michael, I only want you. I know I messed up, but please give me a chance. She was pleading. Is that all? My words stunned her. She looked at me, desperate for a crack, but I only shook my head. You allowed Daniel to cross boundaries. Jenny's attitude toward him came from you. Without your silent approval, would she have called him brother-in-law in front of you? You've always been strict with others' advances. Except with him. So even if not Daniel, it would have been someone else. I gave you all my love, but I have the right to take it back. Now, I love my wife, my daughter, my family. They matter. Stop showing up. Stop disrupting my life. I turned to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Yes, I had feelings for Daniel, but it was because we fought, and he showed up. He calmed me. But believe me, I've only ever loved you. I always wanted to be with you. I shoved her away, barely restraining myself. Enough, Amanda. I'm a man. I have pride. Even if nothing happened, I wouldn't take you back. I have a family, someone I love. You will never be my choice. She froze, stunned. I had no interest in dragging it out. I picked up my things and walked inside, feeling her eyes on my back. But I didn't look back. She was the crush of my youth, but that was over. I couldn't even remember why I'd liked her. Our story had ended long ago. When I left my parents' house, she was gone. I sighed in relief, but when Lillian came home, she glared at me. What's wrong, Mrs. Black? I teased, wrapping an arm around her. She exploded. When were you going to tell me Amanda came looking for you again today? Ah, so that's the issue. I nodded seriously. She waited at the gate. What did she want? She gritted her teeth. I teased her. She said she still wants me. Even married, with a kid. She'll give up everything if I agree. Give up everything? Lillian snapped. If I don't tear her apart, she doesn't know what everything means. She looked ready to storm out. I pulled her close. I'm kidding. The next moment, the world spun, and she was sitting on top of me. You dare lie? I tapped her nose, then scooped her up. Her eyes locked on mine. Michael, we're married. We have Ollie. I'm never letting you go. I'll treat you well. Never give anyone a chance. Her lips pressed against my face. I couldn't speak, so I just kissed her again and again. When she calmed, I said, don't worry. I told her there's no going back. In my heart, there's only you and Ollie. Her breath was warm, intense. That night, she almost drained me dry. After that, Amanda vanished. She was reassigned to another city. Whether by her request or someone else's doing, I never knew. But it didn't matter. As long as it brought peace to Lillian, I was glad. One spring festival, I ran into her outside my parents' house. She was thinner, gaunt. We exchanged a brief glance, then turned away, wordless. I knew then, our story was truly over. All I wanted now was to cherish the people by my side and protect the family I'd built with everything I had.